Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We just had the Avengers Doomsday Chair Watch announcement. We all spent days, it seems like, watching the chairs revealed one at a time, but there were so many missing, major, really powerful characters. People just had a lot of questions like, what happened to Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Where is Scarlet Witch? She's supposed to be in these movies. Why didn't they announce her? Everybody asking, where's Deadpool? Where's Wolverine? What about Ghost Rider? Somebody called Nicolas Cage. What about Nick Fury? Because they're all supposed to be in these movies. Most of the really big characters, we actually have a pretty good idea for what's going on between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars with all of them, including a lot of the returning actors like the classic X-Men, the First Class era X-Men, the classic Fantastic Four, even the rebooted version of the Fantastic Four in 2015. So we'll explain what's going on with the biggest ones, the biggest questions people had on my announcement video a couple days ago. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There are really three major reasons, technically four, why they didn't announce some of these characters during their big Chair Watch announcement a couple days ago. First, the cast that they did announce wasn't the entire main cast, just a lot of them. They confirmed this right after it happened. Robert Downey Jr. went on his Instagram on the official Marvel posts, and the two of those accounts were going back and forth about announcing more down the road, like just confirming that there would be more announcements about characters in the future over the course of them filming the movies this year. Some of the characters will probably stay secret until the trailers start coming out, and secret cameos they never wind up mentioning, and just wait for people to find out about in the movie theaters when you see it next May. Like, oh wow, big surprise, character shows up. It's going to be a giant Avengers movie, and then we have Secret Wars, another giant Avengers movie. There's always surprise cameos that they never tell anybody about. I would not be surprised if most of these leak out beforehand, though, just because it happened during Deadpool and Wolverine. Expect it to happen again during Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Reason number two is that most of the characters, except for Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, are seemingly main universe MCU characters they announced who will work to stop his Doctor Doom from destroying the MCU, like they're going to try and save their main Earth. Supposedly, they're going to be adapting part of the Time Runs Out comic book story for the movie. It'll be different from the comics, but the same general vibes, where you have Doctor Doom, who tries to eventually become God Emperor Doom, save the multiverse, but in doing so, winds up collapsing all the remaining Earth's fragments into a single battle world, and that's where you wind up with a bunch of multiverse characters, survivors from all these different universes.
Oh, it's a match.
Oh, that's creepy, isn't it?
Another really good example of this are all the classic X-Men actors that are coming back. They probably come back from another universe. Doctor Doom probably manipulates the events so that you wind up with an X-Men versus Avengers or Avengers versus X-Men scenario going down in the movie, but he's just pulling the strings from behind the scenes. They're changing a lot of mechanics about the way this goes down, but you get the idea. He looks like Tony Stark, like their friend who died during Avengers Endgame. He'll be using that to his advantage during the movie to accomplish his plan. So at some point, he is going to learn about the MCU universe because he'll have to learn that his Tony Stark was a hero to this world. They might just wind up using the Void as a version of Battleworld because it already kind of functions that way in the MCU right now, where it's sort of like a dumping ground for a bunch of different universes across the multiverse. There will be a number of multiverse characters, returning actors like big stars who will be part of his team that he brings from the multiverse. We're calling them an evil Avengers team. They might not think of themselves as evil, but they're basically like a multiverse team that he puts together to accomplish his goal when he comes to the MCU. Chris Evans is supposed to be part of that. Scarlett Johansson might also be part of that too. All of the original Avengers actors are coming back in some form. Some of them are coming back as their regular characters in the MCU because they're still alive after Avengers Endgame, but some of them died, some of them got really old and retired, so the younger versions of the actors who are coming back will just be multiverse versions of their characters. They didn't want to completely reveal every single character that was going to be on Doctor Doom's team yet. Like, they'll probably be saving that for much later, where it's like a Captain America Civil War kind of scenario where they revealed Team Iron Man, then they eventually revealed Team Captain America. This time it'll be Team MCU and Team Doctor Doom. Third major reason is that some of the people in the movie will only be minor characters, like briefly referenced, blink and you'll miss it, barely in the film. Spider-Man is a really good example of this. Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 movie is supposed to take place during the events of Avengers Doomsday, and supposedly, if rumors are to be believed, that'll explain why he's not a huge character during Doomsday, because they're releasing Spider-Man 4 right after Doomsday is released in theaters. So that'll just explain the whole timeline, like where was Spider-Man? And then boom, Spider-Man 4 comes out, and this is what Spider-Man was doing that whole time.
If this makes the movie, I'll be so impressed.
This also answers some questions about how it would be possible for Doctor Doom to show up in Spider-Man 4 in some way. Even if he's not a major character, they have the whole Spider-Man and Iron Man relationship that they probably want to play on with the twist of the Doctor Doom reveal. But I do think that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be a bigger character during Secret Wars, so the end of Spider-Man 4 will set up how he winds up in Secret Wars, why he winds up surviving the collapse of the multiverse and winds up on their Battle World Void or whatever they wind up calling it. So they might just give him a small cameo role in Doomsday or like in the post-credit scene or like the very end of the movie, like flash, blink and you'll miss it. So he's not completely left out, but he'll have the mask on because Tom Holland is also filming another major Christopher Nolan movie, the Odyssey movie this year, and he has to film Spider-Man 4 right after that. So he's going to be pretty busy filming stuff, which is why it's much easier to just put Spider-Man in the mask and have a stunt person play whatever role he needs to have in Doomsday. Fourth major reason, obvious one, they didn't want the chair watch to actually last all day. Like the memes started immediately. Like, how long is this going to take? Are they going to go on all day? We could be here for days on end. If they revealed like all 500 characters are going to be in the movie, we would still be waiting for the reveal to finish today, many, many days later. A lot of the social media managers behind Marvel that were responsible for this whole Chair Watch event came out and basically explained they wanted to capture as much attention as possible for up to that 5-hour period. And Marvel actually was successful. Like, we all clowned on it because it was very clown-worthy. But the live stream that Marvel did was the most watched live stream from any movie studio in the history of the world. It got about 275 million views, which is wild. 275 million people talking about Marvel for 5 hours on that day. So their trick worked. Now, please, Marvel, do not ever try that again. The chairs will return during Secret Wars. I can see it now during the post-credit scene for Avengers Doomsday. The chairs will be back. So now there are a number of super powerful characters like Scarlet Witch, White Vision. What about some of the other returning Avengers actors? What's going on with them? I just explained what's going on with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. My assumption is that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire might also come back for Secret Wars too, and they won't be big characters during Doomsday. Deadpool and Wolverine, similar case. They're supposed to have some minor role in Doomsday, but I think they're mostly meant to be bigger characters during Secret Wars.
You know the Avengers discovered shawarma.
Scarlet Witch is supposed to be in Doomsday, but I didn't think they want to completely give away the fact that she's back or have to explain how she returns yet. Like, they want it to be a big surprise. Oh my god, Wanda, she's still alive. How does she survive Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Supposedly when she comes back, she'll be helping Doctor Doom, so she'll return as part of his evil team. And they'll be adapting a little bit of the Children's Crusade storyline where she loses her memory and he gaslights her and uses that to his advantage so that he can use her powers to accomplish his goal, and she doesn't really understand what she's doing is wrong. It's sort of a way for Marvel to have their cake and eat it too. They kind of did a version of this during Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, except she was completely aware that what she was doing was wrong at the time. This time, she will not be aware that what she's doing is wrong. It'll probably work with Billy and Tommy's arc where they're basically trying to rescue her and bring her to her senses. Like, no, you're our mother. Please, don't destroy our universe. White Vision is also supposed to be back, but they'll explain what happens to him next in the MCU during the Vision Quest series, which they're filming right now, and they're going to release episodes for next year, but I don't think they're going to release the episodes till after Doomsday, so I don't think they want to spoil what happens to White Vision. They might just save him in terms of Avengers movies for Secret Wars. I already kind of explained Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson coming back. They'll be back, but probably as multiverse versions of the characters working with Doctor Doom and his evil Avengers team, or whatever they wind up calling that team. Bruce Banner Hulk is supposed to be in the movie, but I think they're doing a lot more Hulk multiverse stuff during Secret Wars, so they could just be saving a lot of his storyline for Secret Wars too, because it is super expensive for them to do Hulk special effects, and I think they want to get really crazy with a lot of the stuff they're doing in Secret Wars. There was a little concept art that leaked out from Secret Wars a while ago. I did a video on. One of those was for the Greenland arc on the Secret Wars battle world, where you basically have an entire part of the world filled with Hulk multiverse variants. We will see what they wind up doing from that. Hopefully they do a version of the Maestro. I don't know who would play that. It could be Edward Norton, it could be Eric Bana, they could be bringing back anybody for that, or Mark Ruffalo himself could play a version of the Maestro during Secret Wars. Hawkeye also gonna be back, but if you remember, he basically asked to take one of the last Avengers movies off. He's like, can you give me Infinity War off for a break? Just bring me back for Endgame. They might do the same thing for Secret Wars and Doomsday, where he's just in one of the movies, not the other.
No, I heard that you were meaning to get in touch with me.
Josh Brolin also supposed to be back as another version of Thanos, maybe King Thanos. I don't know if we're going to see him in Doomsday or just in Secret Wars. He might just be in Secret Wars. Really hoping they go for this panel here where God Emperor Doom just rips his spine right out of his body. Moving on, there are a ton of other classic X-Men and classic Fantastic Four that they didn't announce as part of Chairwatch. They announced a ton of classic X-Men, but you have Halle Berry's Storm, one of the most powerful Omega-level mutants. Why wouldn't you announce her? Probably because she's either just in Secret Wars or she's also on Doctor Doom's evil team. There's Rogue, another super powerful mutant. Jean Grey Phoenix, also one of the most powerful characters in the multiverse. Like, what were you going to be doing with Phoenix during these movies? She also might just be back during Secret Wars. You have people like Iceman, another Omega-level mutant. There are a lot of those classic X-Men they'll probably just save for Secret Wars. Like, not every single one will come back during Doomsday. There's the younger first-class versions of all the characters, but remember, they canonize those to the main X-Men universe. They're just literally like the 1960s versions of all those characters. They're probably just saving Michael Fassbender, Magneto, James McAvoy, Professor X, the rest of those characters, or most of those characters, for Secret Wars as well, too. There's the classic Fantastic Four characters. We already saw Chris Evans come back as his younger Johnny Storm, or slightly older Johnny Storm from those movies in Deadpool and Wolverine. We will probably see some of the other classic Fantastic Four actors show up in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, but my bet is Secret Wars. Mostly because in Doomsday, the main Fantastic Four characters will be the brand new versions that we meet later this year. Like, they're meant to be really big characters in both Doomsday and Secret Wars, so the other Fantastic Four actors from the classic movies will probably just be lesser characters in Secret Wars. I'm also expecting at least one or two cameos from the 2015 Fantastic Four versions, the Josh Trank versions of the characters. We will see. Generally just expect the really wild cameos to be saved for Secret Wars, like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, who is supposed to come back for Secret Wars, but probably not for Doomsday. For people asking about super powerful characters like Thor's surrogate daughter, Gore's daughter, Love, she probably will not be back. Like, Marvel will probably just quietly put her off in the distance. Like, no, we're not going to be bringing her back. She was played by Chris Hemsworth's real-life daughter. That was how she wound up in that movie.
What is that?
They're pan flaps from Earth.
I'm not expecting Zeus or Hercules or the other gods from Thor Love and Thunder to show up, but the Thor Corps is supposed to have some kind of role during Secret Wars based on the Jonathan Hickman run, so we will see how they handle that. They could literally do Thor Corps by just copying Chris Hemsworth and making a bunch of multiverse versions of his face in the computer. We'll probably get some more Inhumans cameos during Secret Wars again, and Daisy Johnson, Clark Gregg, and Ming-Na are supposed to come back as their characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it might not be until Secret Wars. But I have seen reports that they're supposed to come back. I don't know how many of the other Marvel TV characters will come back, just the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people I've heard about, and Daredevil. Daredevil's supposed to have some minor role during Doomsday or at least Secret Wars. I don't know about the other Defenders characters. I'm not expecting all of them because I do think that they want to rely more heavily on some really big classic X-Men, classic Fantastic Four stuff, and other classic actors like Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider. The way that Marvel's been talking about Secret Wars, they're going to be using it to soft reboot things. Like, it's another ending of sorts to the MCU as you've known it, and all the Marvel movies, and they're supposed to be doing a bigger version of what they did in Deadpool and Wolverine, where they use Secret Wars as an endgame for a lot of the classic X-Men and Fantastic Four other Marvel actors outside the MCU when they never got their chance to have their own version of Endgame. Like a real big goodbye to all those classic actors before they introduced the rebooted X-Men movie inside the new version of the MCU post-Secret Wars. So what'll probably happen is we'll probably hear about the different bigger actors and characters piecemeal as they're filming this year. Like so-and-so, like Scarlet Witch was spotted on set filming for Doomsday, like confirming which of them will be in Doomsday and which of them will be in Secret Wars. They're making both of those next Avengers movies the same way they made Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, mostly back-to-back so that they can release both movies 1 year at a time. Personally, I am feeling very, very bad for all the visual effects artists that have to race to get all those movies. That just imagine how many effects they're going to be in both of those movies are so big. Generally, though, if you're not a big comic book reader, I would recommend you checking out Time Runs Out and then the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars run. Those will be like the best examples of stuff that they'll pull from. It won't be exactly like the comic book plots, but that's kind of what they're going for, that vibe in those stories. It would be a crime against humanity if they didn't let Samuel L. Jackson drop a couple F-bombs in these movies.
Well done.
We will start getting some more footage for Avengers Doomsday really soon, though, so whatever winds up getting released, of course I will do videos about it. And we're in the middle of Daredevil Born Again episodes. We're almost done. We just saw a whole bunch of him in the black suit with the double Ds. Yes, everybody is a pervert talking about double Ds, but also really excited because we're really talking about Daredevil with the Daredevil symbol on his chest finally. Years and years later, everybody posts the Deadpool and Wolverine meme. It only took 20 billion years for them to finally do the double Ds on his chest. I will probably do a video for all of that footage by tomorrow, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for my Avengers Doomsday trailer that they just released, and click here for all my Daredevil episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.